Your best choice. BEFM 부산영어방송.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
지역 경제가 힘차게 출발합니다. 기업들이 고객을 향해 더 빨리 가려면 방송 광고라는 엑셀을 밟으세요. 경제도 기업도 더 힘차게 달려가니까요. 방송 광고의 작은 힘, 경제의 큰 힘입니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
Coming up next is Inside Out Busan with Min-Soo Shin. BEFM 부산 영어방송.
Hello, and happy Monday to you all. Welcome to Inside Out Busan. I'm your host, Min-Soo Shin. Question for you: how much time do you spend listening to music every day? Well, according to a recent released year-end report, the global music industry recorded over 4 trillion streams back in 2023. Global streams were also up 34% from last year, reflecting an increasingly international music marketplace. K-pop is playing a huge role when it comes to boosting the global music market growth, according to that analysis. 앞으로는 비영어권 노래가 음악시장의 미래다? What do you think? I think yes, sirree.
내 맘이 보이지 한참을 쳐다봐 가까이 다가가 You see 1, 2, 3 용기가 생겼지 이미 아는 이 눈치 고개를 돌려 천천히 여기 You see 여기 보이니 Looking for attention I guess 확실하게 나로 만들겠어 Ay, drop the question drop the question Want attention want attention You give me butterflies you know 내 맘은 온통 paradise 꿈에서 깨워주지 마 You got me looking for attention You got me looking for attention 가끔은 정말 헷갈리지만 분명 You got me looking for attention 날 우연히 마주친 척할래 못 본 탑 지나갈래 You're so fine gotta get to know you 나무 걸어가줘 지금 돌아서면은 잊어 To look at me back Hey 다 들켰어 날 보면 하트가 튀어나와 내 사탕을 찾는 baby 내 맘은 설레지 Drop the question Want attention want attention You can be butterflies you know 내 맘은 온통 paradise 꿈에서 깨워주지 마 You got me looking for attention You got me looking for attention 가끔은 정말 헷갈리지만 분명한 거 You got me looking for attention 정말 헷갈리지만 분명한 건 I'm looking for attention A-T-T-E-N-T-I-O-N attention is what I want A-T-T-E-N-T-I-O-N attention is what I want A-T-T-E-N-T-I-O-N attention is what I want A-T-T-E-N-T-I-O-N you got me looking for attention
New Jeans with Attention, the remix. That is recently from the remix album. Hopefully you enjoyed that track because not only us here in Korea, people from around the world are not only listening to New Jeans, but just K-pop in general. Well, first things first, welcome to the show. This is Inside Out Busan. I'm your host, Min-Soo Shin. Happy Monday. I do hope everybody had a rather pleasant weekend. The weather was very willing, right? Allowing us to have that lovely weekend. Wasn't too cold. Just your typical, right, winter weekend that we had. More updates on the weather later on our show, but signs are looking good in terms of temperature. Now, getting back to it, back in 2023, which was very, very long time ago. No, right? We're not even a month away from 2023. So last year, the global music industry hit over 4 trillion streams. Now, this is according to a recent year-end report. Also, the AP, the Associated Press, recently suggested that non-English songs played a big role when it comes to just those numbers of streams, as well as from here on out, the music industry's future. So K-pop is standing out as a driving force in the growth of the global music market. So I think I shared with our listeners a couple months ago, during the summer season, me and my family took a trip to the U.S., and I haven't been there, in the past 4 or 5 years. And we would just walk into random stores, and they would be playing New Jeans, they would be playing IVE, Blackpink, and BTS는 당연한 거죠. So K-pop is literally out there, right? If people in the U.S. are just listening to it like they would listen to like any song on the radio, you know they're on speakers just around the world, right? Well, let's get into details about this recent year-end report. Both Latin music and K-pop, these genres, showed record-breaking sales and streaming growth. Looking at the top 10,000 songs globally, English ranked first, followed by Spanish and Hindi, with K-pop securing the 4th spot. So Korean, you could, I guess, confidently say, is the 4th most heard language through music. Isn't that crazy? In the U.S., 3 genres saw the biggest growth in 2023. Country with 24%, Latin with 24%, and world music. Now, this includes K-pop, J-pop, and Afrobeats. This is up 26%. And I have a feeling that K-pop, probably took the bigger amount of that slice of pie. Now, what's interesting is that K-pop fans tend to spend about 75% more money on music-related expenses each month compared to the average U.S. music listeners. And moreover, their tendency to support artists through consumption was 67% higher. I believe this to be 101% true. Because my cousins over in the U.S., they are huge K-pop fans, okay? They grew up in the U.S., whereas me, I born here and then lived most of my life. No, I can't even say most of my life anymore. Almost half my life in the U.S. and now the other half being here in Korea. I get a good mix of just music that I listen to. But my cousins, they're super into K-pop. They just can't get enough of it. I know that they have multiple streaming platforms for music signed up. And you could assume that's like $30, $40. So that's like almost like 4-5만 원 each month that they invest in it. Excuse me. And then, concerts that they go to. Oh, just recently, the older cousin of mine, asked for basically K-pop group swag. Like those posters and, those light up wands that they have at the concert. So K-pop just huge over in the U.S. Excuse me. So I have a question for our listeners. What global musicians do you listen to these days? And which music genre do you like the most? 요즘 어떤 해외 뮤지션 노래를 가장 많이 듣습니까? 아니면 어떤 음악 장르를 좋아하나요? I'm really curious as to our listeners' taste in music. Let's get to today's News Bites. All right, while you're sending in those messages, time for today's News Bites with BFM newscaster Kate Chin. Happy Monday, Kate.
Happy Monday, Min-soo.
Hi. Oh, excuse me. I have something. It's got to be the dryness once again here in the studio. How are you?
Doing great.
Good
What about
to hear.
yourself?
Not too bad. I was doing good until something got stuck in my throat. Until the coughing started, yes. But let's get to today's News Bites. Headline making news from Korea and around the world. What's up first?
Kim, a 67-year-old, the suspect who attacked Lee Jae-myung, the Democratic Party of Korea representative, citing economic difficulties and deteriorating health as motives, has been indicted and detained for attempted murder and violating the Public Official Election Act. A 75-year-old, an accomplice, was indicted without detention for attempted murder assistance and violating the Elections Act. The prosecution found no additional accomplices or backers after investigating 114 individuals. A is accused of not reporting the crime and delivering a statement to the media on Kim's request. Despite various investigative methods, including a lie detector, Kim consistently denied having any backers.
All right. I'm sure over the past couple of weeks, we have heard in the news of the reasons and motives for the attack. But is there more that has come to light when it comes to the motives and factors behind the attempted, crime against Lee Jae-myung, and as well when it comes to the prosecution characterizing the incident in relation to the upcoming election? Do we have any news on that?
Kim aimed to hinder Lee Jae-myung's majority in the April election, intending to prevent him from becoming president, fearing he would support North Korean sympathizers. Economic troubles, health issues, and extreme political beliefs fueled Kim's plan. Living separately since 2005, he harbored resentment toward a specific politician. Prosecution applied Article 237, treating the crime as politically motivated terrorism to influence the election. Kim meticulously prepared modifying a knife and practicing stabbing motions. His party affiliation and parting words are undisclosed due to legal considerations. The suspect's personal information won't be disclosed to avoid potential harm. The prosecution seeks a severe punishment to safeguard democratic principles.
Okay, so details that have come to light, and that's a very specific detail. Him practicing stabbing motions for his attack. I'm not too sure how they got that information, but whether it be through testimonies or whatnot. But yeah, factors have come to light, and I'm sure more will continue to do so. Thank you so much for that update. What's next?
Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency investigating the attack on Representative Bae Hyun-jin conducted a search and seizure at the suspect A's residence in Daechidong, Seoul. They seized A's laptop and obtained the mobile phone through proper arrest procedures. The spokesperson stated that forensic analysis will be conducted on the devices, and investigations into the suspect's past behavior will include examining call records, CCTV footage, and social media activities.
Okay. Let's get into details then of the current status of the investigation into the representative's attack, once again by the 15-year-old. As well, how are the authorities addressing the suspect's hospitalization and also political involvement?
On the 25th, at approximately 5:20 p.m., Representative Bae was assaulted by a 15-year-old middle school student with a stone in Shinsadong, Gangnam-gu. The suspect, identified as A, is currently receiving treatment in a psychiatric ward. The police intend to transfer A to protective hospitalization, examine political event involvement, and analyze phone data. A's parents have apologized to Representative Be's aide. The motives behind the attack are still unclear, and the police emphasized the need for a thorough investigation before making conclusion about any potential accomplices.
Okay, thank you so much for that update as well. Let's move on to our next bit of news. We have international news update to provide for our listeners.
After the outbreak of the war between Israel and Hamas on October 7th last year, the first casualties among the U.S. military deployed in the Middle East due to attacks by pro-Iranian armed groups have occurred. Despite warnings from the United States, attacks by armed factions supported by Iran continue, leading to the death of 3 American soldiers. In response, the U.S. government declared retaliation, stating that it will hold those responsible accountable. On the 28th local time, President Joe Biden, through a statement, revealed that the U.S. military base Tower 22 near the Syrian border in northern Jordan had come under a drone attack the previous night, resulting in the death of 3 American soldiers and multiple injuries.
All right, let's get to then anything that has come out from Iran when it comes to these attacks.
Iran officially denied allegations of involvement in the attack on the Jordanian military base, where 3 United States soldiers lost their lives, as reported by the Iranian state-run Islamic Republic news agency on the 28th local time. According to the media outlet, the Iranian representative in Jordan issued a statement on that day, asserting that Iran had no connection to the recent attack and played no role in it. The Iraqi armed group supported by Iran, known as the Islamic Resistance, claimed responsibility for simultaneous attacks on 4 U.S. military bases along the Jordan-Syria border on the same day.
All right, with this as well, I'm sure through investigations more will come to light, but, the same could be said when it comes to continued provocations on various sides. Thank you so much for providing us with this update as well as the other news. You have yourself a good night. We'll see you back here tomorrow, okay?
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Here we go with the song break. This is Taeyang and Jimin with Vibe.
말론 표현할 수 없지만 Girl you gotta know you got that vibe 내 미소는 fine art 내 영혼을 깨워 You got me feeling so right Yeah it's a vibe Yeah This gon' be the one and only theme song 너에게만 고정된 내 시선 내게 너란 하나뿐의 미션 불가능은 없어 baby lights camera action 나란 음악 위에 너는 top line 너란 도시 위에 나는 skyline 넌 내 영화 속의 highlight 어두운 밤하늘 끝에 twilight Just gets better 널 처음부터 정주행하고 싶은 매력 You don't know how I want your love 만 잡아도 간주 너를 만나기 전까진 내 세상엔 암주 난 아무도 위 너는 spotlight 너란 한강 위 나는 남산 너 완벽할 순 없잖아 어두운 밤하늘 끝에 twilight I could feel it 너는 공간에 갇혀버렸어 You're my matrix You don't know how I want your love 어쨌든 나의 우릴 비춰주고 있잖아 날 보는 너의 눈빛과 너에게 계속 느끼고 싶어 You gotta know you got that vibe minaj vibe. We got that vibe, baby. 해질 때까지 look at you, Nicki Minaj, Nicki me why survive.
And that was Taeyang and Jimin with Vibe. The time is now 6:27 here in the studio. Welcome, welcome everybody. This is Inside Out Busan. I'm your host, Min-Soo Shin. 반갑습니다, 여러분. I do hope, your Monday evening is going well. Let me give you an update on the weather as well as the traffic here in our city. Currently, Busan City averaging 6 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow, expecting morning low of 0 and afternoon highs of 11. So tomorrow in Busan, the weather will be clear and warmer compared to today. I actually thought today wasn't so bad. It was more on like the warmer side compared to the previous days that we had. However, be aware that fine dust levels will go up temporarily. And since the air is dry, exactly what I'm experiencing here in the studio right now, everyone, please do be careful about the risk of fires. Definitely stay safe. 내일 부산은 맑고 오늘보다 따뜻하겠습니다. 초미세먼지는 일시적으로 나쁨 수준을 보이겠고요. 대기도 건조하니 화재 조심하세요, 여러분. When it comes to the traffic, we have congestion on Hwangyeongdaero from Bomnaekgol Junction going towards Hwangyeong Tunnel. There's also congestion on Jungangdaero from Gwangmugyo Bridge going towards Seomyeon Junction. Slow-moving traffic on Daegyeoro from Yeonan-Budu three-way intersection going towards the Saegwan three-way intersection. So everybody drive safe. All right, 안전운전 부탁드릴게요. All right, so today we are talking about music the world is listening to. Yeah, according to a recent report, just listens to not only, let's say, that country's main language music. So songs in a country's main language. But a lot of people are going global when it comes to the type of music they listen to. So take, for instance, the music that people are listening to in the U.S. It's all over the place, right? So in the U.S., 3 genres saw the biggest growth last year. Music genres, I mean. 24% of more people started listening to country. 24% of more people started listening to Latin. And 26% of more people started listening to world music. World music, which includes basically music that's not Latin, right? This includes J-pop, Afrobeats, and of course, K-pop. Now, I don't have the details of the breakdown of the 26%, but I'm going to assume that K-pop takes a huge chunk of that, that pie or that slice, whatever they call it, if it's in like a, circle like graph, okay? So yeah, K-pop fans are everywhere. I've witnessed it myself when I went to the US. Like I said, I was here listening to New Jeans in just like a random mom and pop's, like grocery store, just in like a small town. So that's how much K-pop has become such a norm in the US. So my question to our listeners, I want to find out from you, what kind of music do you listen to? Let's say other than K-pop. Because, K-pop is the main genre. Can I really call it the main genre of music here in Korea? Or, non-Korean language music. That's what I want to find out from you. What kind of global music and global musicians and, global music genres do you listen to the most these days? Or let's just make it even more simpler. Which genre of music do you enjoy the most? 여러분은 요즘 어떤 해외 뮤지션의 노래를 가장 많이 듣습니까? 아니면 어떤 음악 장르를 좋아하나요? So yeah, if you've been with me for, the past couple of months, with me just lining up, the music here on Inside Out Busan, you pretty much know, like, my music taste. It's a lot of, like, 80s and 90s stuff that I'm into, but that doesn't mean I don't enjoy, modern hits today, as well K-pop. Yeah, my taste is all over the place, but if I had to pick a music genre, I find my heart always going towards hip-hop for some reason, okay? Not the hip-hop so much these days, but like that golden era of hip-hop. I would consider the golden era of hip-hop like the 90s into the early 2000s. Okay, so yeah, I think my favorite genre would be that. Other like global, like world music genres, I find myself listening to a lot of different kinds of jazz. Yeah, it's weird to say like this country's jazz or that country's jazz, but you could tell the difference sometimes when it comes to what part of the world this kind of jazz comes from. So I'm very much I wouldn't call myself like a jazz fanatic, but yeah, I do find myself if jazz, especially vocal jazz, comes on in another type of language. Yeah, it's not always just English and like Portuguese that jazz comes out in, right? French. I've heard it in French before. You probably hear it in Japanese many a times. Other various languages performing the genre of jazz. I pretty much enjoy any kind these days. So I want to hear from you, listeners. What kind of music, world music, if you can, let me know that you're into these days. Let's ask Andrew Murphy, who is with us here in the studio. Hi, Andrew.
How's it going?
So same question for you. I mean, what kind of music do you listen to, man?
I'm similar to you in the sense of, I mean, we're similar in age, so I think it's, what was popular at that time.
Yeah.
So I'm a big 90s, early 2000s hip hop kind of guy, but I'll listen to anything. There isn't anything I don't like. With my kids, I find in the car a lot of times we listen to some country music.
That's right.
There's no profanity in country music.
Yeah.
There's no swearing. So
and they tell a story.
Yeah, it's good. And it's always, it's easy to understand the language as well because they're not speaking too fast. And my kids are always like, what's that? Dad, what's tequila? And I'm like, well. So there's one day that a country song taught my son about beer, tequila, and something else, and also a dog dying. So that sounds like a typical country song, and the guy's girl ran away, I don't know, something, and his guitar broke and his truck had to be in the shop.
Hey, generalize much, Andrew?
But I think every country singer would probably say the same thing. It's a stereotype that it works, I guess. But I don't know, like as in non-native, like non-English music, of course, Korean, you know, and not just K-pop. I would say there's, ballads and things like that. But I don't know. I think because of the music I listen to and what's current, there's a lot of like Latino, Latinx music that is, mainstream, that it's in Spanish. And I can sing along. And I'm sure it's like when other people in other parts of the world sing along to Korean. K-pop.
It's probably the same feeling.
And have no idea what they're saying. So I was with a friend of mine. He's, from Argentina. And I was, singing a song going along with it. He's like, did you know what you just said? And I had no idea. He's like, well, I'll let you off the hook because you don't know, but maybe not around certain people. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll be careful.
Yeah. So this is me forgetting a lot of my Spanish, but I was, in the U.S. and it was, what's the artist's name? Bad Bunny.
Oh yeah, sure.
His songs came out, and he's Latins. He's like a singing, rapping, like one of like a Drake kind of artist.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? And I was following along, and like I could hear some of the lyrics, and I was singing along with it, and. Like my cousins who are more versed in Spanish language than I am because they're, living in California. They will, I mean, in the car, it's like fine because I know, Oppa, you don't understand what you're singing, but don't be singing it outside, right, when we're walking around.
Especially because then people are like, what is that Asian guy saying in Spanish to me?
Exactly. But I feel, what you explained, I feel the same way when I'm listening to like Sergio Mendes songs, right?
Oh, sure.
Songs like in Portuguese. Oh, Badia, oh,
or like,
bum.
We're going back like with Ricky Martin, because Ricky Martin would have, a lot of songs in English. One on his album, he would have a lot of Spanish songs as well. But you'd listen to the whole album, and then you're singing it, and people are like, you have no idea what you're saying. Nope. It's the same way when my students are singing hip hop or rapping to it, and they have no clue about maybe gang culture or things like that.
Sure.
And I'm like, just let them have fun.
맞아요.
They're enjoying it.
Yeah, I think that's the important point. As long as you're enjoying the music, the meaning, I'm sure, and the what they're singing about, what the message is of the song, I guess that could come later if you're going to be
because even in English, you and I listen to certain songs, we don't get the nuance to some of the lyrics.
Yeah.
And people are like, what's that mean? And I'm like, I have no idea.
Sometimes you have to do
it's
like
English,
deep dives.
but it's a different English.
Exactly. Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing, Andrew. As well, for our listeners, you don't have to be that detailed in your descriptions, but let me know what kind of music you're into these days. Let's say non-Korean, non-English music, okay? Or if that's too tough, just tell me what type of genre of music you're into these days. Let's get to today's 5분 상식. Time for today's 5분 상식, getting you in the know of some of the most trending, useful, need-to-know words and expressions. 5분만 들으면 유식해지는 시간입니다. 오늘은 육아 상식, 우리 아이의 밥태기, 극복하는 방법을 알아보도록 하겠습니다.
My son, lunch is ready. Come on, buddy. Let's eat.
Daddy, I don't want to eat right now. I'm playing with my toys.
Oh, come on, buddy. Your colorful plate is waiting for you. Take a look at it. It's yummy and looks like a rainbow.
아빠, I don't care about rainbows. Daddy, I just want to play.
Minsu, you need to eat your veggies to grow big and strong. Look, there's a dinosaur on your plate.
아빠, I don't like dinosaurs either.
How about we pretend each bite is an airplane landing in your mouth and then going all the way down to your tummy. Vroom, vroom.
Oh, Daddy, that's silly. I'm not still eating.
My son, 너도 밥태기야. If you don't eat, I'm seriously considering getting rid of all of your favorite toys. Just one bite. Let's do this.
Fine, but only one bite, 아빠. 아빠, this doesn't taste good. 맨날 아빠가 만들면 맛없어. 맛없어서 안 먹어. 제가 볼 때, looking at the situation, 제가 잘못했네요. I think I'm the one that's in the wrong. No matter how bad it is.
I feel that we've both experienced this.
Yeah.
So we've gotten we're professionals at it with our kids.
I'm sure you've had your ways of getting your kids to eat.
Yeah, tying them down and just joking, everybody. Just joking.
I'm still trying to figure it out. I've gone through all hoops and everything. It's just, and then somebody told me time will come, just don't stress. But I don't know, as a parent, you want to get their nutrition in, right?
My oldest is Korean age 10, Western age 8, and it's still there's a battle certain days.
맞아요. So let's get into it. 밥태기. What does it exactly mean? 밥태기란 대체 무슨 말입니까?
So 밥태기 refers to a period when your child is not eating well, and Minsu and I are wondering when that'll end. But it is a term that's coined from combining 밥 and 권태기, which in reality, the time of rice refusal often, and this is funny because this is professionals saying this, when a child is 10 months, 12 months, or 15 months, parents engage in a constant struggle to feed even a spoonful more during this time.
I think you could add to that 7 years. 8 years in with your,
your
first 10 years. When does it stop, right? So there supposedly are some wise ways to overcome the phase when your kids refuse to eat, especially rice. Okay? So 우리 아이 밥태기를 슬기롭게 극복하는 방법은 무엇입니까?
Yeah, so there's some tips and tricks here, what they say, and I'm sure we both have ours, and our listeners out there who have children, I'm sure you have your own as well. Make mealtime fun for your baby. All right. Just like adults, babies have their own likes and dislikes. Try different shapes, colors, food, or mix up where you eat as well. Maybe, I don't know, your kid might or your child might eat better when you're outside the house.
Yeah.
Or something. Or when there's these little, like, they look like cookie cutters, but they're like a stamp where you can stamp the sheets of gim.
Yeah.
And then you
It's
can
like
create like a
different shapes,
face
right?
and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. You could also give them finger foods and toddler meals. Babies love exploring with their hands or using forks and spoons. Now, make sure food fits in their mouth and the size and the texture. So, I mean, all these things that people know to do, like, after some experience, but the first while it is frustrating, but you kind of got to give them some independence, I think is what they're getting to here. But keep it consistent. Stick to regular meal times, and allow enough time between meals, and try to avoid random snacks. I know I have a few friends that our kids are the same age, and after, like, I thought my kids were picky eaters or they wouldn't eat things, and I saw these other children, and I was like, what is going on here? I don't want to judge anybody, but I thought I had it bad. Yours is like a nuclear bomb going off every time you're trying to eat. But it ended up that these kids were having multiple snacks throughout the day, so they weren't hungry.
맞아요.
You know, like, it's like, as an adult, if you're not hungry and someone is trying to feed you something, you're probably going to say no.
That's true. Yeah. So, like I said, you know, other parents that have gone through that would tell me, don't stress. Like, there'll come a time when they just start liking that maybe particular food or dish that you're trying to like shove down their throat right now. So patience is key.
Patience, and I think a routine. A routine always helps, because if they know, hey, it's dinner time or it's lunchtime, that, you know, the TV or the tablet or whatever has to go off for these things. And then you get into a routine. It helps a lot.
We have a message real quick from 토끼님. 진짜 울 조카도 밥 안 먹고 똑같이 그런데요. 너무 리얼했어요. So 토끼님 has, it seems like a niece or nephew that is exactly the same as my character in our little skit that we did, right? So that's why it was so real. It was like almost like, it's like flashbacks for her.
Yeah, and I'll say if anybody has a child who's not like that, they must have wings coming out of their back and a halo over their head, because that angel, they don't come around too often.
Yes, exactly. Right? 네, 오늘의 5분 상식 밥태기란 아기가 밥을 잘 안 먹는 시기로 밥과 권태기의 합성어입니다. 오늘의 5분 상식이었습니다. 김대리, 퇴근하나?
예, 부장님.
집이 교회종이지? 같은 방향인데 같이 가지? 요즘 회사 생활 어떤가?
예, 저 열심히 잘하고 있습니다.
결혼 생활도 재밌지?
예, 뭐 즐겁죠, 예. 저 그 라디오라도 좀.
그래, 라디오.
네가 저번 주에 온 심참인 것 같네.
22번 훈련병!
진짜 회사 생활 쉽지 않다. 어색한 이 순간 인사이드 아웃 부산과 함께하세요.
All right, it's Monday, first hour of our show. We continue to have Andrew Murphy with us here in the studio for today's Dear IOB.
Yeah.
Hello, my dear Andrew. How are you?
Hello, dear Minsu.
Yes.
I was hoping that there would have been a question that came in about feeding your children. It would have just led right in from our open sanction. But yeah, so this is our segment where we take not complaints, but questions or maybe grievances that have been sent into the Busan Global Center. And we try to answer or help or give information to people. And if you don't know what the Busan Global Center is, it's the center that provides comprehensive counseling and specialized consultation in 9 areas to help foreign residents in Busan adapt. The easiest way to get in touch with them, I would say call, but I don't know too many people who call people these days. It seems like it's a hassle. You can 친구 찾기 on Kakao Talk. They have a service: Korean, English, Chinese, Vietnamese, Russian, Uzbek, and Indonesian. And if you're outside of that language realm, I'm sure they can probably hook you up or get somebody to help you.
Oh yeah,
that's for sure.
Don't just be like, oh, I mean, they can't help me. Oh well, no. Like if you at least call the center, right? They'll point you in the right direction. To get,
I think that's the best way to put it for sure.
The help or the answers that you do need.
Yes.
So these are just concerns and questions that have been brought up by, foreigners, expats residing here in Busan, things that have made it maybe their life a little uncomfortable. So let's get to today's concerns.
Yeah, because some of these, it's not easy to find the information possibly in English. Maybe if you search in Korean, it could be possible, but if you're someone who's not very versed in the language, it could be difficult. And some of these things in Korean, even when I talk to Koreans about it, they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like me trying to go through a government website. Yeah. I'm lost all the time, right?
Exactly.
So the first question here is, can they know the main contents of vocational training for multicultural youth? Now, the background for this is specialized vocational training, or, kind of vocational as in the sense of helping them in the workplace and maybe getting more experience, right? And so for this here, for multicultural family, children and youth facing difficulties in a few different categories here: in education, job search and employment, newly established and piloted. This was operated and piloted for this year. So the key contents of what this is, and this is something I didn't know about. So I'm sure there's quite a few other people out there who aren't aware of this. So 200 children of multicultural families, according to this article, they've been supported by this Support Act. Now, the primary targets for this are aged 18 to 24. So you're thinking, children who've, I guess they're young adults at this point, graduated high school, maybe they've gone to university and graduated, or maybe not. And they need some more training to try to get a job here in Korea. Because for our listeners who don't know, myself, we're quite lucky. We're in this kind of a field. Yes, I do teach, but if you're not in something like broadcasting or teaching, getting a job is not that easy, or outside modeling, acting, or something like that, But those jobs are few and far between. So this here is put on by the Korea Polytechnic University, and the training level, what they're looking for in the duration, is the NCS level 2 to 4, so equivalent to the existing specialized technical courses.
Okay.
They're run for about 6 months, and what they're looking to do here is provide youth with, I guess, a better trainer, better background of how things work here in Korea as well.
Yeah, it's like there's no like that buffer between life before and life that they have to live from here on out here in Korea. So to have that little bit of a cushion to introduce them like slowly and
definitely,
in a smoother way, I think that could go a long way in terms of their help, the help that they need.
So the training contents include some major subjects that would go through this here. Korean language, of course, they're gonna try to improve that whenever they can. Adaptation to workplace culture, and this is something that is interesting because I feel the workplace dynamic in Korea is ever changing compared to when I first came to Korea in 2007 to now. I feel there's not as much. I don't want to say top down, but I don't want to make anyone feel bad or anything, but like at that time,
careful with your words.
If you were a boss in a workplace, you were essentially a god. At that time, you didn't leave until the boss left.
Right.
The boss came in. Everyone was. It was. First time I saw it, the bowing, everyone, just the inside, and just making sure everyone's polite. And that still happens, and that's totally fine. But I feel the workplace environment in Korea has become a little bit more relaxed, which I think it needed for, everyone's mental health, if you will.
Yes, sirree, Bob.
We've all been in different places with that. So that's something, if you're interested in this, you get in touch with the cultural center, the global center, and they can point you in the right direction for this. But if you have children of that age, it is for multicultural families.
Nah.
It is not for native Korean families here. And it's 200 children. So, and I'm not aware if they have met the cap yet or not.
Still.
But something you want to get in touch with.
Yeah, and this is something that started really recently.
Very recently,
First of this month, this year.
Yes. Now, the next one, I had 3 here. We're going to drop down to the third one for today. And this is something that is very important, because if you don't do it, there could be legal implications, possibly.
Okay.
Taxes.
Oh, 맞아요.
Mrs. Face, what you just did is, I think if you mention taxes to anybody,
yes,
even if you're going to get a large tax return, and you say taxes, everyone does.
I just hate hearing it. I mean, it's like I even leave it up to a professional to do the taxes for me, but still, it's such a hassle. Such a hassle, and I'm always disappointed in the amount I get back.
Yeah, so this here is how to register phone numbers and card numbers for cash receipts on home tax. This is something that people really forget about with with the cash receipts and Hyungum and stuff like that in Korea. You can get a better return if you have these.
네, 맞아요.
All right, so you need to go to the home tax site, and you need to, after logging in, which can be a challenge in itself, apply for the customer or consumer only card for cash receipts. And you can go through the step-by-step process. And the thing here you need to remember is, after you enter a phone number, you register and go through the verification process.
Sure.
You get a code and you add that in. Your phone number, it's registered. You can register up to 5 card numbers by entering the 16-digit card, and then the card name that goes along with that. So this here, and you're able to see and view the history of the card, when it was used, and what is eligible for a cash receipt as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's important, because there's a lot of times, and again, Koreans also, you look at the taxes and you're like, why do I have to pay money? Or why am I getting more money back this year?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a mystery.
Because even if you get if you're surprised at the amount of money back, you would think, how come I didn't get this much back last year?
Yeah, did they make a mistake? Am I going to have to put this back?
Yeah.
Because what's going on?
Exactly.
Because for anybody, always, in my house anyway, that money's already spent.
And, it's because of the world we live in these days. We have to even question the good things that happen to us, right?
100%. So, I mean, in that sense, please make sure you're doing your taxes. I'm not someone here to add any stress to somebody's life.
Yeah.
But if you go through the proper channels and you can, message the Global Center for some help with this, because sometimes the website is a bit tough to navigate.
Oh, yeah.
And even I go through this with my wife. Every year we go through and do mine.
Yeah.
And she's like, I think we clicked that box. Did we click that box last year?
그래서 for me, because I'm always confused when I go into that site, and the person that does it also happens to be a good family friend.
Yes.
Right? So ID and password, I just send it over. You just figure it out, right? I trust you enough.
It's the same when I go to my school. They're like, did you print off these things? Yeah. Can you just log in so we can double check? I need to make sure you have everything.
Here's my passport, please.
Yes,
just do it for
seriously.
me, right?
Just don't steal my identity.
맞아요.
Or if you need to, and I'm going to get more money back, do what you can.
Exactly. We have a message that came in from 가보자고님 saying, Andrew trying his best to sugarcoat Korean workplace culture.
Not that. I'm saying it's changed for the better, in my opinion.
맞아요.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and Andrew's lived here long enough to be able
Sure.
to see the difference.
100%. 100%.
Right?
And I think our environment here at BFM is fantastic.
Yes.
And I wouldn't change it for the world.
Same here, right? You heard that, right? Right,
Yeah.
boss? Right?
Yeah.
Right, producers? All right, Andrew, that will do it for today's Dear IOB. We'll see you back here next week.
Sounds
okay?
good.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Here we go. To take us out of the first hour, this is Ariana Grande with Yes and. I'll see you back here at 7.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산. 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 BFM 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
보이스피싱에 눈을 뜨시오.
공약미를 대출해드릴 수 있을 것 같아요. 근데 수수료를 좀.
보이스피싱 전화 올 땐 전화 끊고 확인하기.
실장님의 계좌가 금융범죄에 연루되었습니다.
기관 사칭 사기 전화 112로 신고하기. 택배 주소 오류 사기, 인터넷 주소 클릭한대.
늘 의심하고 꼭 전화 끊고 또 확인하고.
보인다 보여.
수법이
보이는구나.
눈을 뜨면 예방책이 보입니다.
공익광고협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
꼬리에 꼬리를 무는 품격 있는 토크. 시끄러워 죄송합니다.
Inside Out Busan.
Inside Out Busan.
Inside Out Busan.
인사이드 아웃 부산.
Inside Out Busan. Inside Out
Welcome back, everybody. 7 o'clock. That means it's time for hour number 2 of Inside Out Busan, and I'm your host, Min-Soo Shin. 반갑습니다. 환영합니다. Welcome, welcome. A message that came in from Toki님, Laofi. Laofi? Laofi? Oh, I apologize to the artist and to fans of the artist. This is actually, I had to look the artist up. But Tokinim, you saying, I'm into her calm, mid to low voice these days. She's a singer-songwriter from Iceland. Okay. And you also mentioned, I also love Dua Lipa's songs. Yes, Dua Lipa. I would say her style of music, one of my favorites these days. I don't know if I could say she's one of my favorite artists these days, but just the groove and so when we talk about music, I kind of get detail into it, but Dua Lipa songs has some of the best and grooviest bass lines, okay? But Laofi, your favorite right now, Tokinim, stick around. I might play a song by her. I think we got a couple of them in the system. We're going to kick things off second hour of our show with On the Mic. This is the segment where we get to share the stories of you, the citizens of Busan. Let's see who we have for today.
All right, today we're going to talk to someone here in Busan and find out a little bit about her life. Hi, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Evgenia, but people know me as Jenya or Jenny, which is my short name. I'm from Russia and I live here since 2013.
Wow, you've been here for such a long time. Can you tell everyone what brought you to Busan and how do you like it?
Well, I came here because of study. I entered Busan National University and I did my master's there. And after that, I found a job first in cosmetic company. Then I worked for 6 years. I worked for another Korean company, quite big one, and we deal with the ship's radio navigation equipment. And then I quit this company, and now I just do kind of freelance teaching and tours.
Wow, that's amazing. So you're a tour guide, would you say?
Yeah, I can say like this, but mostly like private tour guide.
Okay. Why don't you tell people some of your favorite places that you like to go for tours in Busan?
First of all, it's top one is Gamcheon Village, and another second one is Haedon Yeongunsa, which is temple, Haedon Temple in Gijan. Yeah, this like the top sightseeings I am taking my tourists.
Why do you like Gamcheon so much?
Well, because it's very authentic and it's very traditional kind of, village in Busan. Yeah, so it's like, I think people need to see it first of all.
Yeah, and you're from Russia. Is there anything like Gamcheon Culture Village in Russia where you're from, in the city you're from, or is it unique?
No, it's very unique. We don't have similar villages, yeah. Well, it's very colorful, people always want to take picture in front of the village, somewhere like in front of the houses or nice cafes there. Yeah.
And you also do so many other things. You're part of so many groups in Busan. Can you tell a little bit about one of the groups that you participate in?
Well, of course, I recently participated for Busan New Media members. It's like for Busan City Hall. I applied again. Yeah, probably gonna be selected again. I hope so. And then also I'm the Busan representative. We have the group of Busan representatives, foreigners, and I'm a member of this group as well.
Oh, tell us a little bit. How do you get into the group, and what are some of the activities that you do as a member?
Well, we just meet. We have meetings like a few times, maybe in a few months. And then we discuss some issues, like we had a lecture about tax, how to get tax deduction.
Tax like refunds?
Yeah, refunds, yeah. And then we also had some meetings about discussing some issues, like we have agenda, what is important for Busan, like immigration issues, visa issues, and so on, so many things to discuss, and we just propose what we want to discuss next, and we just have some meetings about that.
What would you like to see improve in the future? What things would you think Busan could work on?
Of course, I'm really into making Busan more English friendly, because I still think we don't have Expo, right? Everybody knows that Busan was not selected for Expo 2030. It's quite sad news, but I think we still have to work on some issues, like make Busan English friendly, because even some taxi drivers can speak English, or some staff, they still cannot speak English, or they don't have menu in English. So I think we have to improve English level for this city, yeah.
And what about Russian? Is it easy for Russians to come here and speak in Korea? Is there lots of places that are Russian friendly as well?
About Russian friendly places, probably it's more than Russian areas, let's say Busan Station area, like Texas Street or Gamcheon Village. We have many companies located there, so many staff live or work there. So I can see some, things in Russian language, let's say some advertisements or whatever. But also, it's not really a Russian-friendly city, but Russians travel, yeah. They travel, even we don't have direct flights now, but Russians still come, and they transfer in Uzbekistan, they transfer in Mongolia, or even now China, yeah, because the flights from China are quite cheap, so they transfer and they come. And, I have many Russian tourists as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Jenny, for working to improve Busan and being one of the active foreigners in the city. And I hope that you guys can improve Busan so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
A big thank you to our reporter Tegan for today's On the Mic, her very special conversation with Jenny, our interviewee for On the Mic. So Jenny, being from Russia, has been living here in Busan, she mentioned, since 2015, right? So almost 9 years. I think she's been probably here around this, however long I've been here. But she originally got her master's degree and then worked various jobs. She mentioned most recently for a cosmetics company. I think that's like, Korea is a good place to be in that kind of work, in that line of work, or in that industry. But she mentioned right now, very involved with Busan City. She mentioned giving private city tours to people that, get in contact with her and sign up. I think to get the tour from somebody who is not from here but have spent the past couple of years just in the thick of it, right? You're probably going to get a very close to experience. I'm saying close to just any Busanite, any probably just Korean that you're going to, in terms of being able to provide you with stories and just, abouts when it comes to Busan, our city, and the places she's been taking people. So I'm very glad she wants to spread and share that experience and joy that she experienced herself here in Busan with other people. She also mentioned just various groups that she's a part of. And these are groups to improve Busan and improve people's experiences here in Busan. It goes very much with, in the first hour we had that special corner with Andrew, Dear IOB, where we get to tackle just concerns and issues and worries that the foreigners and expats living here in Busan have when it comes to just their life in general. And Jenny also being a part of various groups to bring about making life easier for everybody and anybody living here in Busan. She mentioned even things like tax, right? And to get tax deductions and returns, refunds. This is something that could be some of the hardest things to do and experience. But, we have people like Jenny looking out for everybody, not just Koreans, not just people living here in Busan, but also those from far away. And Jenny, once again, doing great work. Best of luck to you as you continue to make Busan just, a greater place, a more comfortable place to live in. It seems like you're doing a lot of that right now. Here's to many more, Jenny. Thank you so much. And to our Porter Tegan, thank you for today's On the Mic. We are going to take a song break. Togi님, I do hope you're tuning in because I'm going to play a song by Leve. So the pronunciation, it's an Icelandic pronunciation of the name. See, I had to do my research. Thank you so much for this opportunity, though, because I don't want to get the artist's name wrong as well as fans of this artist. It is a Nordic name. It comes from Nordic mythology. Leve is the mother of Loki. Okay? So, Toki님, dedicated to you and your enjoyment of Leve these days. This is her song, From the Start.
Don't you notice how I get quiet when there's no one else around? Me and you and awkward silence. Don't you dare look at me that way. I don't need reminders of how you don't feel the same. Oh, the burning pain. Listening to you heart pump out some new soulmate. She's so perfect, blah, blah, blah. Oh, how I wish you'll wake up one day. Run to me, confess your love. At least just let me say that when I talk to you, oh, Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart. And I sound like a loon, but don't you feel it to confess I loved you from the start. What's a girl to do, lying on my bed staring into the blue? Unrequited, terrifying love is driving me a bit insane. Have to get this off my chest, I'm telling you today. that when I talk to you, oh Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart. And I sound like a loon, but don't you feel it to confess I loved you from the start. Confess I loved you, just thinking of you. I know I've loved you from the start.
That was nice. Leve with From the Start. And that's something that Toki님 is listening to these days. Toki님 messaging right away. 바로 반응하네요, 토끼님. 민수 DJ님 최고 감동. 진짜 목소리 좋죠. 자기 전에 틀어놓으면 마음이 편해져요. 저도 이런 느낌 좋아합니다. Like I said, right? I don't know if you could label this as jazz. I think you can. I sense a little bit of bossa nova in there too. 너무 좋네요. We also have 희수님 over on our Kakao Talk saying, good evening. I enjoy 트로트 songs these days. As I get older, I'm into it. 근데 희수님 진짜 I don't know what it is, but it's something about age that kind of opens your mind and heart to trot music more and more. 저도 진짜 5년 전까지는요. 이게 뭐야? 막 이거 뭐야? So like I would think, trot? No way, no thank you. I'm never gonna listen to that. But then like the past couple of 설날/추석s that I would visit, like my parents don't listen to it as much, but like my in-laws, they would have it on TV. 저도 몰래 I find myself like tapping along to it and kind of like, bobbing my head along to it. That means I'm listening to the music and actually maybe enjoying it a little bit. So 희수님, I think I'm going to get to the point where I actually start, like voluntarily, on purpose, searching 트로트 노래 on my, the streaming app that I use and start listening to it. Might that day come? We'll see. But thank you so much, 희수님, for your message. 토끼님, for your recommendation. I'm definitely going to add LaVey onto my queue of music that, I do take the time out of the week to always, find new music, discover new music. So, yeah, a very enjoyable artist, LaVey. The time is now 7:15 here in the studio. Welcome to hour number 2 of Inside Out Busan. I'm your host, Min-Soo Shin. Let me give you a quick update on what the weather and traffic is looking like here in Busan City. Busan City right now averaging 6 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow, we can look forward to warmer, at least in the afternoon time. It's going to be warmer than today's afternoon that we've had. And today, not so bad. 오늘은 좀 괜찮은 편이었어요. Tomorrow, expecting morning low of 0 and afternoon highs of 11. So that's pretty warm for winter. Busan will see ultrafine dust levels rising, though, throughout the day tomorrow. And with the air being dry, do keep an eye out for any fire risks. Everybody, stay safe out there. 내일은 건조하겠습니다. 초미세먼지가 나쁨 수준도 보일 거고요. 그래서 단디 챙기세요. And when it comes to the traffic, let's see. Here in Busan City, specifically on 낙동대로 from Daeti Tunnel going towards Seodaesin Junction, there's congestion there. Also on 중앙대로 from Busan City Hall going towards Yeonsan Junction, 거기도 congestion. There's congestion there as well. Slow-moving traffic we have on 수영 강변대로 from Seokdae Overpass going towards the Panyo Agricultural Wholesale Market Junction. And unfortunately, a report of an accident that we have, a two-car collision on 신선로 from 49호 광장 going towards 남부 면허시험장 Junction. It happened right past 49호 광장. So everybody, drive safe. 안전운전 부탁드리겠습니다. Yeah, so these days, people from around the world, it seems that our music taste has become a bit more eclectic. We are now really, honestly enjoying different kinds of music in different languages we're used to. So, before, you would assume, okay, Koreans, yeah, we listen to K-pop. Americans or for people from English-speaking countries, yeah, just whatever music is in the English language. Yeah, it's very normal that if you are from a specific place, region, or country that specifically speaks this language, or that's happens to be your main language, you tend to listen to music and just enjoy various content in that language. But here in Korea, as much as K-pop, we have a lot of people listening to various types of music in various types of languages. Like, for example, Tokinim mentioning LaVey happens to be one of her favorite artists right now. She is Icelandic. That song we listen to, though, of course, in English, and I'm sure she has a ton of music, right, in her mother tongue. A lot of people in the U.S., and not just the U.S., from around the world, they are just in love with K-pop music these days. So much so that there has been a 26% increase in listeners around the world of the global music genre. Now, global music, that's basically, all music that is outside of the US and Latin music, right? So K-pop is included in that. And like I've been saying, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I feel like K-pop takes a big chunk of that 26%. So I wanted a good idea of, what kind of music our listeners are into these days. So yeah, it seems like we have just music from, here and there. We have trottu, we have music from Iceland and whatnot. I myself mention, hip-hop / music from the 80s and 90s. You get a lot of that here on Inside Out Busan. Let's ask Christopher, who is joining us here in the studio, waiting for his segment to start. Hi, Christopher.
How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty well today.
So, Christopher, I know you enjoy the various kinds of arts.
Yes.
Music happens to be one of them. I'm going to assume,
yes.
Yeah. What kind of music are you into these days?
Well, today these days I've been doing a lot with just international jazz.
Yeah, I mentioned to our listeners that, yeah, me too. Jazz and jazz that's not in, like vocal jazz that's not in English.
Yeah. I was just thinking about one of the groups I was listening to recently, and it's pronounced Pamplemousse. It's French for grapefruit, but it's a husband-wife duo from America, and they just sing the most gorgeous French jazz.
Oh, okay. I know that group. I think they're also part of another group / NutTube channel called Scary Pockets. Yeah, and they make just remakes to various songs.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. The woman's voice is just sublime.
맞아요.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so like jazz in the French language.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Which is strange for an American to be able to sing. So just to be able to do that fairly well without an accent, I'm told.
Yeah.
So.
And when it comes to jazz, of course, you can't leave out bossa nova jazz.
Oh yeah.
And bossa nova, hailing. I don't know if it's exactly from there, but you have many pioneers of bossa nova being from Brazil. So, and of course, the Portuguese language, beautiful. I don't understand any of it. And if I really want to know like what they're singing about, I would have to run it through a translator.
Well, the good thing about a lot of particularly the bossa nova standards, a lot of them have been translated to just almost every single language.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think about The Girl from Ipanema. The first time I heard it in Portuguese, just was like, oh, I know that song. And like, oh, it's in a different language. Oh, I've heard it in French. I've heard it in English.
Yeah.
So lots of opportunities to hear it in different languages and different interpretations of it.
Yeah, and that is why a lot of K-pop artists these days, because they are very much aware of their popularity around the world, when they're coming out with new music, I think around the same time, or maybe even exactly at the same time when their music's being released, they have it not only in Korean, but also in English to adhere to all the global fan base, especially with so much of them being in the U.S. So I think this is a good sign, a good step forward for the music industry in general, just around the world, but also a good sign for K-pop as well. Probably, Christopher, I don't know how long it's been since you've been home.
It's been about a year since I've been back home.
Okay, so you probably I don't know if you've experienced this, but a couple months ago when I was back home in California, I told the listeners I walked into this random mom and pop's grocery store in just a small town, and on the speaker they were playing like New Jeans music. So basically just K-pop that I'm so used to. of course, it's a given here, but that just goes to, it's a testament to just the popularity and just the renown of K-pop.
Ever since Gangnam Style.
Gangnam Style,
increased more and more
paved
in
the
popularity.
way. And then, of course, Blackpink and BTS being global sensations, and that's opening up new opportunities for the groups these days. So I'm liking the direction K-pop is headed into.
Yeah.
Who knows, right? As we might see, we're continuing to see K-pop artists and their songs and albums go on the Billboard Hot 100.
Yeah, and you also see them changing their styles up to become more international.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Some of the new Jeans stuff is very unique in the way that they're approaching their music.
맞습니다. So once again, I like where our music's headed. K-pop, at least, is headed. Christopher, thank you so much for giving us your 2 cents. A big thank you to everybody that participated in today's text topic. Yeah, I like, the conversation, especially about, topics that I particularly enjoy. I'm not saying, there are some that I don't like on our program. I like all the topics we talk about, but especially music. All right, it's 7:24 in the studio. It's Monday, second hour of our show. That means time for me time. Time for Me Time, the segment dedicated to you, to me, to Christopher, the most, the most important person sometimes in your life, yourself.
Often the most neglected, too.
As well that. Yes. Christopher, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. It was a beautiful day outside. I got to spend a lot of time outdoors. Good temperature today.
Yeah, and it's going to get better. I guess, depending on how you look at, what better means in the winter season. Like for me, winter has to be cold for me to enjoy, because I like the, those crisp, winter days that
but
go outside.
Having too many of them in a row can be a little bit too much at times.
Yeah, but I would rather have that than have days where it goes goes to 14, almost 15 degrees.
It's springtime, yeah.
And then it dips down, because that's going to mess up my biorhythm, as they say, and that's usually when I get sick. But yeah, I think a lot of people are enjoying the break that we've had in terms of the colder temperatures. I'm glad you enjoyed today.
Yeah. I will say that the cold the cold snap we had last week was a little bit enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it, right? It was it's winter. What were you expecting, right? But Christopher, thank you so much for coming in for today's Me Time. What are we going to be covering today?
Well, I had a shower thought the other day about hobbies.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's I have so many hobbies when I count them. It's just way too many to count, really. But then I started thinking about what's the point of them. So I came to the thought that hobbies are fun. We do them for enjoyment. But is there anything to them other than that? So I wanted to talk about that. But I'm curious, what are your hobbies?
I mean, what is a hobby? Anyway, so when usually people ask what's your hobby, they list things they enjoy doing, right? But for me, I think that the reason why you say you have so many hobbies is because you enjoy so many things, right? Same here. I enjoy doing a lot of stuff, but I would say a hobby is something that you find yourself going back to a bit more often than the rest of all that stuff.
Yeah, a little bit more than once or twice a week.
Yeah. So for me, with that definition, I would say my hobbies are watching movies. I am proud of the fact / I might come off as a little lazy. I try to watch a movie a day. And watching a movie a day means, after I put my kid to sleep, after my wife goes to sleep, then I start actually doing work, preparing for the next day. I just put on a movie.
Wow.
And I it's half attention to my work. No. 30% attention to my work, and then most of it to the movie. And I'm still big on video games. I've been at it since I was a kid. I can't put it down. Those are the two main things. And I do take the time, and I find myself often trying to listen to like various kinds of music.
Yeah, expand your knowledge.
Yeah. So those three, I would say, are my main hobbies. But I enjoy doing a bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah. For me, like when I count them, I came up with at least 15 that I do on a regular basis.
Regularly?
Yeah. And I do so many more just occasionally. Like I do like scuba diving, but that's an expensive hobby, so I don't get to do it very much.
Yeah.
And you know, once in a while, like I ask my students this all the time because it's a very good English topic. Like, what is your hobby? And you can talk about this for a long time. But every once in a while, like I really want to know why. What's the point of doing them?
What's the point of having hobbies?
What's the point of having a hobby other than fun?
Okay.
And there's 6 main benefits to having a hobby. The first one is to relieve your stress.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the biggest one.
Probably the biggest one, most obvious one. It keeps you engaged in something that you enjoy. And these activities are merely more than a distraction. They remind you that that there are many facets to your self-concept, your self-worth. Like, there's the employee you, yes, but there's also the athlete you or artist you. And because of that, if one part of your day doesn't go so well, it is less damaging to your identity.
Yeah.
So simply put, you don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Like for me, when I'm stressed, of course, the thought of ending, finishing up my day and then going home and seeing my lovely family, that brings me comfort. But also things like, oh man, I can't wait to go home and then watch, let's say, this movie that I had on my queue that I've been meaning to get to, or pick up where I left off on this video game, or maybe listen to this album that just recently came out. Right now, although I'm enjoying very much the conversation I'm having with you, I can't get out of my head. Tonight, I'd probably go home and I could watch the most recent episode of True Detective. That's what I've been thinking about the whole day right now.
Yeah, get that hit of dopamine to relieve your stress, make you feel better.
Exactly. So stress relief, because I'm stressed, if that's the thing I'm thinking about that I know is going to help me, unload, huge benefit.
Yeah, that's a huge benefit there. The second benefit is that it helps you develop patience. This is particularly good for younger people, but also people of all ages who are maybe patient challenged.
Okay.
Because this is like you're learning how to do something new with a hobby a lot of times, particularly if it's a hobby that you're just picking up. There's a learning curve. So when you're learning how to do it, you need to have that patience to develop that skill. Think about the first time you learned how to play guitar. Like, not easy, and you had to keep at it.
Yeah.
Or there are some people who just throw it away and be like, don't want to do this anymore, it's too hard. But if you can stick with it, it becomes really rewarding, and you develop that patience there.
Yeah. For people, I know a couple that have decided to pick up an instrument this year as a resolution, and they decided on the guitar, and maybe there's listeners out there. Stick with it, no matter how hard and how much it hurts, your fingers. Give it a month. That callus, once it sets in, it's going to be easy just practicing and holding chords, okay? So just get through that 1 month. I promise.
And it is rewarding. So.
Continue.
It can also help you improve your social life.
Oh, yeah.
While some hobbies are solitary, others are really social endeavors that help us build communities, helps with meeting people that we otherwise wouldn't, and share our passions.
Sure.
They help form new bonds. There are countless studies that have found that the social connections are a key component of our happiness and finding a meaningful life. And these hobbies really have the potential to create these precious new ties.
Yeah. Do you find yourself partaking with other people, your hobbies?
Oh, and most of my hobbies are with other people.
Really?
I have a Latin band that I play with. I think I told you about this. We practice every Friday or Saturday, and we play. I've met 5-6 other people that we play together, and then we go out to a club or plays a performance hall, and there are people that come up and just talk about how they enjoy it. And I also get to watch people doing salsa with the music that we're playing.
Nice. See, this is something that I know, with hobbies helping with my social life and everything, I know it could benefit. But the 3 hobbies that I shared with you, listening to music, playing video games, and watching movies, I like the fact that I do it by myself.
Yeah, and that can be stress relief in all of itself.
Yeah.
there also you get that benefit from social hobbies, which I also know you do, like the playing in your bands. There.
Yeah, sure. I do, of course. Yeah, I do a little bit of that. Nice.
Yeah, so it can also help reduce your boredom.
Of course.
Which is it's done for fun.
Yeah.
It can challenge your skills, and this is, as we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, you got brain protection. The older you get, like the more your dendrons, your synapses, it protects them from falling away and reduce dementia, things like that, help you with your mental health.
Yeah.
And this one I found really interesting. It makes you a more interesting person.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Like you're not bland.
Yeah, it gives you different perspectives on things. It gives you something to talk about at parties or around the water cooler, and they add different layers to your identity, and richness to your self-concept. People who want to be around other people with passion.
Yeah.
And with a sense of curiosity and stories to tell, really gives you something to talk about.
Yeah. I remember a couple weeks ago, I was having this conversation with somebody, and we somehow got to talking about movies. And this is a part of me that I'm a little embarrassed / ashamed to say, but I'm very much into. But I share with listeners here on Inside Out Busan, and I don't know why. I feel no shame here, but I'm very into the really gory / scary thriller and horror movies, right? Yeah. So a couple of them I would list off in front of people, and they look at me and go, "Oh, you enjoy watching those kinds of movies?" And I go, "I mean, yeah, but I'm a totally normal guy, right? It's just that that I find that genre to be interesting." But then I met this other person who also had the same idea, where if I'm honest with my movie taste, that might turn some people off. But if you find somebody that have similar interests in that particular hobby, right? That you see that person in this whole nother light, and especially if it's something that agrees with your tastes, right? So I totally understand what you mean. It makes people and it makes yourself sometimes more interesting.
Yeah, and it gives you something to connect with other people.
Exactly.
So one of the things that is not on the list that a lot of people think about, we have this hustle culture. I want to turn my hobby into business, and that's not really one of the things that you should be trying as a benefit for a hobby.
Yeah, because once it starts being work, you lose interest in it fast.
Yeah. When I went to university, my undergraduate degree was in music education, and all of my professors, hands down, said, when you are a teacher in music, find a hobby that is not music. And it wasn't just one or two, it was every single one of them. And the reason was because, before when I was a student, I would be playing music, I would be doing it for enjoyment.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I would start my day with music, I would continue with music, and at the end of the day, the last thing you want to do is, go out and play some.
Yeah.
Because it just leads to too much, and you just get burnt out from doing it all the time.
Exactly. Same could be said about, not to, downgrade what you experience, but same can be said about Sudoku. Have you partaken in Sudoku? So Sudoku, it's I love doing Sudoku. I could maybe even say it's one of my hobbies. But there comes a time where, I started off, it's fun, and it gets to a point where you're stuck and you get so frustrated. And then you set it down. I purposely, if I get stuck, if I can't find answers in at most maybe after 2 minutes, I put it down and I just set it aside and I go do other stuff.
Yeah.
But I always come back to it later on and then I don't know why it's so weird, but after some time away, I end up finding the solution that I couldn't see. But it's probably because you're so focused on it, you have lost it. It started off as an interest / hobby, and then it gets to a point where it's almost like work. You're grinding at it. And that's when things start to lose interest for you.
Yeah,
right?
As soon as it becomes stressful is when you need to but it down and walk away.
Yeah, exactly.
And developing hobbies outside of your work really helps you so that you can put it down and walk away. But those are the 6 benefits that we have. And then you asked a question earlier, what is a hobby?
Okay.
And that's a very important question.
Sure.
I ask my students, and sometimes they say, "Oh, sleeping." That's not a hobby. That's a necessary component of your life. So what? I know you have students. What are their most common hobbies?
Yeah, like a lot of them would say just watching videos on YouTube. Yeah, and I'll go, oh man, okay, because we do that very, very like passively. Like you don't go, okay, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna search this video. It's like something that you just put on.
Yeah, almost
right?
with background music.
Exactly. And it's not like you're actively searching for, I mean, maybe you can, but it's not like you're actively searching for things. These days, you leave it all up to like algorithm and you leave it all up to just automatically, okay, NutTube knows that you've been watching these kinds of videos. We'll just play a random that's similar to what you've been watching.
Yeah.
Then if you put it that way, they were like, oh, are you actually engaged in that hobby, could you say? Or basically you're just kind of lying down with your eyes open.
Yeah.
And just taking in whatever, the tube feeds you.
Yeah, and it can be a hobby, but really, like, we can divide our hobbies into two types. We have an active hobby and then a passive hobby. And really, like, listening to music, like watching the whatever tube is kind of just a passive hobby.
Yeah.
And which of these do you think is more important?
Between active and passive?
Yeah.
I mean, because I feel like for me, if it gets too much into the active side, it can get to a point where you mentioned earlier, you might start to lose interest in it because let's say it's like too time consuming or it's too energy consuming.
Yeah.
For me, it's like really hard to find that nice like middle between, like a good middle between the two. I would say if I could find a hobby that allows me to be active but all the while comfortably enjoy it, like I would stick with that hobby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree there. But like when we're looking at active, passive hobbies, we need both.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, both of them are very important, and it's got to be a balance between the two. I don't know if you know Matthew Inman. He's the creator of The Oatmeal. He's a webtoon comic, also the creator of the Exploding Kittens card game.
Oh. Like when you said The Oatmeal, I was like, this guy invented oatmeal? No.
It's
Oatmeal.
The Oatmeal. It's just weird. His mind just works in a crazy way, but he has this idea about creativity that it is like breathing, and has to do with like this active and passive. He said, and this is a quote that he said, a friend once told me that creativity is like breathing. When you make stuff, you're exhaling, but you can't exhale forever. Eventually you have to breathe in or you'll be dead. That's why I try to read a lot of books. That's why I spend a lot of time outdoors. That's why I pivot from project to project to project. All of these things I consider breathing as they make me better at what I do. They make me love my job.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. It's a very good thought. Like, creativity, like that's going out. You need to fill up your brain with stuff. So otherwise, you can't breathe out again.
Yeah, right. So we know then, as Christopher has laid out for us, hobbies, what hobbies are, why it's important, why it's so beneficial. But these days, especially for some of our listeners who might have jobs, who are working, who might not even have time, in their day to have hobbies. What can you recommend or maybe advise, for these people?
For those people who don't have time, when we're looking at that, like if you think, I don't have time, there's always time. You don't necessarily need to set a lot of time out through the day. You can also make a conscious effort to do them over a long period of time, just a little bit each day or a little bit each week. But, set time in your schedule, like figure out whether this is a hobby I can do every day, once a week, once an hour, for 1 hour, for 2 hours. Make use of portable hobbies. Like maybe you drive to work and like listen and study your English by listening to a very famous English radio station on your car.
Yes, at 90.5, 103.3 FM for Gijang, Cheongwan, and Noksan. Yes.
You can do like a challenge. There are these famous 100-day challenges. Where you set yourself to try and do a little bit each day for 100 days. And by that end of that 100 days, you're a master. Audit your schedule. Maybe there's times in there, as Seneca would say, it's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. And, life is long. And we spend so many times doing things that might be a waste. And for a lot of people, this will be hard for them to do, but ask for help when you need it.
Oh, yeah.
And not just like for the hobby, but like in other things. Like you can, maybe you have children. You can ask your spouse to do a little bit more around the house. If you have the financial means, pay somebody else to clean your house for you.
Yeah.
Like, do that like that. Or automate. Like we've got a lot of, tools, AI tools that can do things for us. Like take advantage of these things.
Yeah.
You can multitask, combine hobbies with chores, combine hobbies with other hobbies, combine hobbies with personal tasks like, eating and showering while you're practicing your singing.
Yeah.
And, make use of small chunks of time, even 10 minutes in the day.
Yeah. Be creative, be innovative. Just try to think of how you can mix, what you enjoy doing into maybe even spread that out or break that up into smaller portions and, bite sizes throughout the day, right?
Yeah,
Why not?
The question is, how do you eat an elephant? One forkful at a time.
That's a good one. Yes, that's exactly how I would go about eating an elephant. Christopher, thank you so much for today's Me Time, the importance of hobbies in our lives. Thank you so much, sir. You have a good week. We'll see you around, okay?
And you too.
All right. Let's get to the prizes that you could win here on Inside Out Busan. Steve, what do we got?
Thank you.
푸짐한 선물을 원하십니까? 인사이드 아웃 부산이 준비한 소중한 선물. Full course meal voucher from Golden Lizzie, a gourmet restaurant in 거제동 and 연산동, where you can taste cuisine from Michelin Guide featured chef Kim. 미슐랭 셰프의 파인 레스토랑 골든 리지에서 10만 원 외식 상품권. 런지 10세트. A place to entertain your brain and eyes. Museum of Illusions. 당신의 눈과 뇌를 즐겁게 하는 곳. 뮤지엄 오브 일루전 부산 착시미술관 입장권. 회원님 끝까지 집중하셔야 돼요. 언제나 마시는 커피를 신선하게 만드는 양산에 위치한 Into Roastery. Coffee voucher and a pack of fresh coffee whole beans. Sponsored by Into Roaster in 양산. 운동 중인데 향이 좋네요. 자, 회원님 다음 암풀다운 핫돌. A delicious meal voucher from Gorilla Brewing Busan, Gwangan branch, the leader of Korean handmade beer culture. 자, 수제 맥주 전문점 고릴라 브루잉 부산에서 제공하는 식사권. 자, 회원님 마지막 덤벨 85kg. We prepare admission tickets for the Busan X the Sky top floor observatory, which is located at LCT in Haeundae, the highest place in Busan. 끝까지 해야 됩니다. 끝까지. 자, 부산 대표 랜드마크 해운대 LCT에 위치한 하늘 위의 바다 부산 X the Sky 전망대 입장권을 선물로 드립니다. 회원님 수고하셨습니다. 네, 재밌는 방송 IOB와 함께 선물은 덤으로 지금 바로 참여하세요. 후하 후하.
Time for this special little corner called Hello Fukuoka, where we get to connect with our DJ, a special DJ from our sister radio station over in Fukuoka from Love FM. Let's say hi to DJ Sakiko. Hello, Sakiko.
Hi, Misu. How are you?
Hey, I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I just started watching the Korean drama called Mind. Do you know?
Mind?
Mind, yeah.
My? Like
It's
M-Y,
like,
my?
No, it's like a Mind, M-I-N-E.
Oh,
My.
Oh, you know what,
Yeah.
Sakiko? I'm sometimes embarrassed because you take so much time and effort to catch a lot of the Korean dramas and Korean content that sometimes like the amount of stuff you watch and like the shows that you watch too. Like I was like, wait, we have a show like that? You're more in the know. You're more trendy when it comes to K content and K culture than me. Okay, but how are you enjoying it so far?
All right. Okay.
How are you enjoying it? Is it good?
So far, I just watched the first episode. It's okay. Yeah, looks like interesting.
So for our listeners, when we had Sakiko before over for the Hello Busan, Hello Gwangju show that we had, she would bring up all these shows and movies that I myself have never gotten to, but Sakiko really takes the time to make sure she is on top of all the K content. So, Sakiko, finish it and then let me know later how it is, all right? I'm going to take your recommendation to watch our shows. But thank you so much for connecting with us once again. You're going to be filling us in on what's going on over where you are in Fukuoka. So what do you have for us today?
Okay, today I want to talk about 2 winter events in Fukuoka.
As we are still very much into the winter season. So 2 events taking place in your city. What's the first one?
Okay, the first one is Across Fukuoka Illumination.
Okay.
So the last winter's sensational illumination, which suddenly appeared and brightened Across Fukuoka with a massive, light up, is set to return this year with Hikari no Mori, which means the forest of light. So Across Fukuoka's step garden paths come alive with a vibrant display of illuminated animals and dinosaurs, promising an enchanting journey through light tunnels and themed areas, complete with interactive light-up steps. It's so beautiful.
So it's a light festival taking place. Yeah, because, here in Busan and Korea as well, when you think light festival, you usually think, oh, that's something that takes place only during Christmas time. But no, we also have a lot of light festivals that go on throughout the month of January and also into February as well. So the Across Fukuoka Illumination event, tell us a little bit more about what we can find.
Yeah, ascend across the mountain to discover a mesmerizing view of Tenjin's nightscape from 60 meters high. And this winter marvel offers picture-perfect moments for everyone, couples, families, friends, or, of course, solo explorers. And the rooftop delivers a panorama of stunning lights and awe-inspiring urban business exclusive to this event. And descend through a glimmering field and a radiant waterfall of light where with a drum's beat, unexpected joys are awakened.
Ooh, that sounds nice. So the Across Fukuoka Illumination Light Festival taking place in your city. Sakiko, I don't think I've shared with you. I've shared with our other listeners here on our show. Like whenever I think or whenever I hear about light festivals, I always think, man, I wonder what the electricity bill is like. Like how much money they have to pay to keep these lights on.
Oh, that's right.
But it's so worthless. I mean, why do I have to be worried about that, right? You just go and enjoy it. But I think it's like the kind of like the old person in me coming out a little bit, right? But thank you so much for filling us in on that. You mentioned there's another one that you wanted to share, right?
Yes. The next one is it's the Winter Peony in Hakozaki Shrine. So it's a flower festival.
Okay, peony. Peony flowers. Okay, continue.
Yeah. Oh, nestled along the pathway to Hakozaki Shrine, the esteemed Winter Peony Festival unfurls its beauty in the flower garden through early February. And this exquisite garden, adorned with the serene authentics of a traditional Japanese kare sansui, which means like a dry landscape, becomes a picturesque haven where 200 winter peonies across 20 varieties blossom, representedly under a quaint straw hat. It looks beautiful.
I can only imagine, right, how beautiful that looks. Peony flowers, I think, a favorite amongst flower lovers here. Tell us more.
Yeah. The allure of these blooms transforms the carefully curated 7,000 square meters of the garden into a tapestry of vibrant colors, drawing admirers from near and far. And this cherished garden, a sanctuary of floral beauty, invites visitors to immerse themselves in a kaleidoscope of seasonal flowers, delighting the senses all year around.
Oh, that sounds so nice. Yeah, because you usually think, flowers. Like flowers isn't really like a winter thing to check out. It's more like snow and, light festivals. But yeah, flowers bloom also in the winter season. So the peony, winter peony festival taking place over in Fukuoka as well. You could check that out. All right, Sakiko, that will wrap it up for today's segment with you. Take care. Enjoy that show. Tell me how it is, okay?
Okay, I will.
All right, we'll see you back here next week, okay?
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. A big thank you to our DJ Sakiko, and a thank you to you, all of our listeners. That is going to do it for today's program. Enjoy the rest of your Monday evening. I'll see you back here tomorrow. To take us out, this is IU with Love Wins All. Inside Out Busan was written by Im Soo-jin, and it was hosted and produced by yours truly, Min Soo-shin. Have a good one.
떠올릴 수 없는 곳으로 저기 멀리 from Earth to Mars 꼭 같이 가줄래 그곳이 어디든 오랜 외로움 그 반대말을 찾아서 어떤 실수로
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다.